transfer from FAU, not far away. Virtually no breeze as this rivalry is renewed. Line drive kickoff blasted through the back of the end zone. So here comes CJ Carr. He's been dreaming about this moment his whole life. Redshirt freshman, 6'3", 210 from Saline, Michigan, right down the street from Ann Arbor, where his grandfather was a legendary coach. His maternal grandfather, Tom Curtis, was a legendary safety, and his dad, Jason, was a backup quarterback under Lloyd Carr. 4 snaps against Purdue, that's it. He did not attempt to pass. He hurt his elbow, the same injury Carson Beck suffered in a practice in late September, and couldn't throw for a couple of months. He has Jeremiah Love in the backfield. He faked it to him, a low throw, and a loss of 2. The catch made by Jordan Faison. And O.J. Frederic, who was a starting corner last year as a freshman, is back out there again to start the game.
And an easy completion to kind of build up the confidence, but an off-target throw from Carr early on.
We asked Mike Denbrock, the coordinator, would they ease CJ into the game? He said, we'll see how it goes. They do have perhaps the best running back in the country in Jeremiah Love, preseason All-American. Carr will throw it again. They give him another short throw. The tight end, Eli Raritan, lunges forward. He ran into Jacoby Thomas, one of those 6 transfers in the secondary. He's over from Tennessee.
And this will be a game of adjustments for both coaches. And Mike Denbrock isn't 100% certain what Miami's going to do defensively, especially in third down situations. So got to stay on schedule and be willing to make some changes throughout the game.
5-yard gain. 3rd down and 7. 3 straight short passes. Catch and run. And a first down. Great job after the catch by Jordan Faison. They're going to give him all of that spinning, or will they? Now they're bringing the ball back to the 42-yard line for a gain of 14.
And a great job by Faison getting upfield, spinning off of it, bouncing off would-be tacklers, and getting upfield for the conversion.
Homecoming for Faison. He's from Fort Lauderdale. Juggle of the snap by Carr. Here's Faison again. And a problem for Miami last year was poor tackling, and that's a problem again on this opening possession on defense. 15 more for Faison.
So much for answering the question, will they run the ball, take some of the pressure off of the young quarterback? They come out now, throw it several plays in a row, 4 plays in a row, 4 easy completions, and a great job by Faison after the catch.
Played through a leg injury much of last year. They think he'll be a more explosive and dynamic player this season. Here's the first carry for Jeremiah Love. And he got a yard, perhaps 2, to the Miami 42. Here are tonight's impact players, brought to you by AutoZone.
And it's Malachi Fields, outside receiver for Notre Dame. Big, physical, and reminds the coaching staff of Michael Floyd, who started here several years ago, and Ruben Bain, defensive end, who can take over the game there at the end of the line of scrimmage for the Canes.
Strong offensive line for Notre Dame against a terrific defensive line for Miami. This game could well be won in the trenches. Carr rolls out, throws, and it's broken up. Trying to get it to Jeremiah Love. Keontae Scott, another transfer. He'll play the nickel position. He's come over from Auburn.
Looks like the throw was just a touch late, which allowed Keontae Scott to use that length to bat the ball away and set up a 3rd and long.
3rd down and 9, likely not in field goal range for their new kicker, Noah Burnett.
Possible 4-down territory, though, so you can run it or throw it if you like your numbers.
Price is the running back. Pressure from Carr. He sidestepped the rush, but still in trouble. Running out of room, and he threw it away.
Well, we just mentioned the impact player of Ruben Bain, and here he is coming off the edge. Just a thing of beauty right around the left tackle, Anthony Knapp. Knapp was kind of held inside. It's a good move by Carr to keep the play alive, but nothing going as he worked to his left, has to throw it away.
And late it was Marquise Lightfoot pursuing CJ Carr over to the boundary. Bain, in many projections, could be a top 10 pick in the next NFL draft. In the third and final matchup of two teams ranked in the AP top 10 this opening weekend. Since the preseason poll debuted in 1950, it's the only time that's ever happened. 3 top 10 matchups. James Rendell on the punt on 4th down and 9 from the Miami 42. Malachi Toney, a true freshman, they think is an enormous talent, made a fair catch at the 5-yard line. 37-yard punt. Shannon Dawson with some last words of advice on the play call for Carson Beck. After 5 years in the Georgia program, his first as a redshirt, 2 years as a backup to Stetson Bennett when they won 2 national championships. Then the last 2 as a starter. He's now a Miami Hurricane. Florida native from the Jacksonville area. All the talent you could want. Size at 6'4", 230 pounds. And the coaches both at Georgia and Miami rave about his football IQ. And they're going to put that to use here in Miami, giving him a lot of latitude at the line of scrimmage. Jordan Lyle takes the handoff and gets 5.
Carson Beck last year became the scapegoat a little bit for all the problems that Georgia had offensively, but what people didn't pay enough attention to was how many drops his wide receivers had. They led the Power 4. The inconsistencies in protection along the offensive line and abandoning the run game from time to time. He was not the only problem and is eager to kind of prove that he was going to be the solution now for Miami.
It's a pretty good year when you have a problem. You went 11-2 and won the SEC. His first throw as a cane is on target. Kalen Marion has a first down, his first catch for Miami. A transfer from BYU, and before that he was at UConn.
Great job scanning the field there by Carson Beck, getting backside and hitting the throw.
5 receivers spread the field. CJ Daniels, another newcomer on his 3rd school, Liberty. 1 year last year at LSU, and now here at Miami, a 5-yard gain.
Not surprising to see Miami utilize a little bit of tempo early in this game. They felt like they could challenge Notre Dame because of the heat and humidity, and that would be a little uncomfortable for that defense. So expect you utilizing tempo throughout the season.
It was a terrific Notre Dame defense last year. Gave up just 15.5 points per game. A lot of the key contributors back. Jordan Lyle, the part of running back committee. They'll feature 3 running backs, Lyle, Mark Fletcher, and Marty Brown. Lyle got the first down out of the 34.
One area of this team last year that was kind of flying under the radar was how good they were running the football. And I think Jordan Lyle has a chance to become a star. Tremendous open field speed. Reminds you of those great Miami backs there in the 2000s.
And they love to run between the tackles. Mario Cristobal was an offensive lineman back in the late 80s and early 90s at Miami. He likes to pound it. Only Baylor ran between the tackles more often last year. Here comes a blitz. Beck saw it coming, got it off. Joshua Moore the catch. Jalen Stroman, a newcomer from Virginia Tech, made the tackle as the safety for Notre Dame. An 8-yard gain, and they'll go quickly. 2nd down and 2. Beck's 3 for 3. Loves the play action game. Throwing it deep, and it's incomplete. Trying to get it to JoJo Trader, and it was Stroman in coverage.
I love the idea on 2nd short too. You're going to come back, probably run it on 3rd down, pick it up. Why not try to take a shot? Throwing it deep over the top to a playmaker in Marion who can go 22 miles an hour on the field. Their deep threat just a little bit too deep from Carson Beck.
He can make all the throws. Coaches rave about his touch, short and intermediate, and his accuracy down the field. Lyle's the running back on 3rd down and 2. Malachi Toney, the motion man. And it's that stout defensive front for Notre Dame that stands up. Boubacar Traore, the sophomore from Boston, who missed most of last year due to injury. A big play for the new defensive coordinator, Chris Ash.
This is a great play by Traore on the right side. They try to get a zone read. They have some movement going from right to left, thinking it would hold him out wide. He is not fooled, however. He crashes down immediately and makes the play in the backfield.
Marcus Freeman raved about the talent of the ends, Traore and Bryce Young at the other end. He thinks they could both be 1st-round picks someday. Jordan Faison takes the punt from Dylan Joyce. And he's dragged down at the 13-yard line. Raul Aguirre made the tackle after an 8-yard return of a 43-yard punt. Big stop on 3rd down for the new look. Likely to lean now, you would think, on Jeremiah Love. But not on this play. It's another quick pop. That's a Malachi Fields, who lost the football, knocked out by Justin Scott. And Miami has the first turnover of the game. Jacoby Thomas recovered it.
Looked like that ball was starting to come out. It is right there off the left hip as a result of that big collision from Scott. Did he secure possession is something they'll also look at, but it does look like ball is just starting to slide out before his backside is down on the ground. Let's take a look right here. Oh, right knee down, but where's the ball at that point? Looks like it's already moving.
So an immediate big play by Thomas, one of those 6 defensive backs who came in the transfer portal. It was Justin Scott who knocked it out. And he played in 11 games last year as a backup as a freshman. The play stands as called, and Miami in great shape at the Notre Dame 24. Carson Beck 3 out of 4 in the opening drive. Throwing with a lot of contact. Malachi Toney, the intended receiver. And Christian Gray had the coverage.
This game will be a game of cat and mouse. Notre Dame last year played more man coverage than anybody. They went zone on the first drive. Here on the first play of the second drive after sudden change, it's man-to-man. Toney's supposed to be their guy. A little bit of contact down the stretch. See that left hand on the hip as well. Hard to see it, though, with that white glove on the white pants shot.
So 2nd and 10. Jordan Lyle just had his ankle taped back into the game for Miami. He gets spun around for no gain. Perhaps 1. Gabriel Rubio and Joshua Burnham in there. Part of the veteran defensive line. They lost Riley Mills and Howard Cross in the middle. But they have a lot of veteran talent returning as Chris Ash takes over for Al Golden, who went back to the NFL this season as the new defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals.
What will Chris Ash do here? Will he heat up the veteran quarterback, see if they can knock Miami out of field goal range? If you're Carson Beck, you can't take a sack.
As we said, he has a lot of latitude at the line of scrimmage, and he's using it. Given a clean pocket, throws, low throw, but a catch made by Keelan Marion. And it's an 8-yard gain. They're just short of the first down, and Mario Cristobal's going to go for it.
This is a beautiful route by Marion, who gets the separation against the best corner in college football in Leonard Moore. Mario Cristobal with that imposing offensive line can probably anticipate a north-south run right here on 4th and short.
Mark Fletcher is the running back, a 225-pounder. They do pound the rock, as you would expect from a Mario Cristobal team, and it's a first down. They really like their offensive line. They have a new center, James Brockermeyer, over after 1 year at TCU and 3 prior to that at Alabama.
And this is ridiculous. Look at Maui Noah and the movement that he gets off the right side, and the amount of displaced gold helmets off the charts. When they run short yardage behind Maui Noah and Inez Cooper, the right guard, not many teams can hold up at the point of attack.
Both were all ACC last year. Fletcher, nice cut inside the 10 and stacked up around the 8-yard line. Jake Bowen in on the stop. He's become the leader of this Notre Dame defense. Bowen's taken over the green dot. He'll be in communication with Chris Ash through the headset. Now that Jack Kaiser, after 70 games at Notre Dame, is in the NFL with Jacksonville. On 2nd and 5, a little hesitation on the handoff, and Fletcher's knocked back by Kingston Viliamu Asa. Loss of 3.
So far, a great stand for this Notre Dame defense. Getting off the field here, holding Miami to just 3 points would be a massive moral victory. They've run man coverage these last couple plays. I would anticipate man coverage again. If you're Miami, you probably want to create a pick or a rub to get some separation and get a guy running in space.
They send a 3-receiver bunch to the right of Carson Beck. Mark Fletcher's the running back on 3rd and 8 from the 10. Pressure, and the pass is batted down and incomplete. Jared Dawson batted it out of the air. They don't go to the transfer portal often, but he's a newcomer from Louisville.
And they bring the pressure right up the middle. They're trying to get that rub and pick that we just talked about with a mesh concept. 2 shallow crosses underneath. You can create natural pressure on the defense by running guys close together. However, the pass rush was too much, and a great job by Notre Dame's defense.
There's Carter Davis, the newcomer. Those career numbers not good. They were at FAU. He won a battle with Bert Auburn, a transfer from Texas, to be the kicker. And trouble with the snap. Picked up by Dylan Joyce, who's the punter, and he's knocked out of bounds. LaMarcus Freeman's special teams were fantastic last year, but this time 2 matchups were low scoring. Texas over Ohio State, LSU over Clemson. LSU scored the most points of the 4, only 17. And so far, nothing on the board here. Notre Dame's defense rallied after an Irish turnover. Here is Jeremiah Love, just his 2nd carry. And he rolls out for an 8-yard gain. Here's Molly.
Well, Sean, quarterback CJ Carr showing leadership on the sideline. He went right up to wide receiver Malachi Fields after that fumble, said, "I trust you. I'm coming right back to you." And Carr may be a redshirt freshman, but he commands this sideline. You can tell this team respects and loves him.
He's obviously grown up around it. Love again. Did not get the first down. Keem Mesidor and Ruben Bain, those 2 tremendous defensive ends, in on the play.
And this will be an interesting down for the Notre Dame offense, because in 3rd and short last year, you knew where it was going. It was Riley Leonard with some type of quarterback run. Now, without the element of the quarterback's legs, what will they do in short yardage situations for Mike Denbrock?
They went for it a lot on 4th down last year, largely because, as Marcus Freeman said, Riley Leonard could just fall forward and get first downs. CJ Carr gets blasted behind the line of scrimmage by Big David Blade Jr., a transfer from Louisiana Tech. Welcome to college football, as he ran into 6'4" and 308 pounds.
And it's just a bust by the right guard. He's got to block that nose. That nose just shoots right up the middle, and he whiffs completely. He's blocking the wrong guy, and that's the young freshman, Gertie Lambert, who's got a lot of talent, but clearly not on the same page with his center there. And the unblocked defender, Blay, makes the play in the backfield.
They watched Blay play last year against Arkansas with a dominant performance, and Mario Cristobal said he was a must-get in the portal. Rendell punts. And Malachi Toney, a fair catch. He's saying, hey, they were too close, but there is no flag, a 43-yard punt. Let's check into the studio. Here's Kevin Nagandi. All right, Kevin, thank you. No score here, 1:46 to go in the opening quarter. Carson Beck 4 out of 7 in his Miami debut for 35 yards. Just 41 yards of total offense. For a unit that led the country last year in total offense, 537 a game. Fletcher bouncing off would-be tacklers. Don Schuler, a rare missed tackle at the safety spot, and wound up going for 15.
Right guard there, Inez Cooper, just absolutely mauling this defensive tackle. I mean, watch him go for a ride, and they run right behind him. Big movement, goodness gracious, displaced 5 or 6 yards, and the big body Fletcher gets downhill.
Luke Talich had a chance to make the tackle as well, and did not. They'll pound it between the tackles again. You said it earlier, the run game was undersold last year nationally because of the great success Cam Ward had throwing it, but 76% of the time when they run, it's between the tackles. Only Baylor did it more often.
It's remarkable. It's a testament to their offensive line, because Cam Ward was not a guy that was going to run it a ton, so they're getting movement at the point. The other thing that's amazing is, you'd be shocked to know this, that Miami actually averaged more yards per carry than Notre Dame last year, who's known for their run game.
They averaged 5.7. High snap that might have thrown off the whole operation. Tried a quick screen to Keelan Marion. Carson Beck letting everybody know the snap was high.
I'm sure the center loves that.
No. And the throw was a little low. Still catchable, but wasn't going to go very far. What a kickoff week this has been, presented by Modelo. Shades of yesteryear here. Notre Dame and Miami in a meaningful season opener. The Hurricanes are 0 for 3 on third down. They were best in the country last year, 56% plus. Back, here's Malachi Toney. First down inside the Notre Dame 40. Well, he's a true freshman. They told us they weren't sure how much he would play. He is playing a lot.
And how about this route? Look at the quickness in and out of the break. Inside, back, outside. Remember, you know you're going to get man when you're playing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And when you have a guy with that much sudden change ability and quickness, it's tough to cover.
He's not very big, 5'11", about 180. Here he comes again. And another first down inside the 30. We spoke to Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson during the really talented guy. Carson Beck said he's going to watch him play in the
MC squad.
1st and 10, Miami at the Notre Dame 28. Here's Jordan Lyle. Grabbed around the legs by Jaden Osbury. They did lose Jack Kaiser, but Chris Ash loves the linebacker core with Osbury, Jalen Sneed, Drake Bowen, and Viliamuasa, among others.
Very physical and violent linebacker core across the board. Really complement each other's skill, and they're really paying attention in the backfield with the success that Miami had in the first quarter running the football.
Question was, how much would Chris Ash change after Notre Dame played great defense last year under Al Golden? Bringing some of his own ideas. Back throw, single coverage, batted away. Good coverage by Christian Gray on JoJo Trader, and now Gray stays down.
That is not good for Notre Dame. Cornerback tandem as good as any in the sport. And the one concern they have defensively is how young they get at corner in the event in which their top two go down.
And they love their depth everywhere on defense except at the cornerback position. Both Marcus Freeman and Chris Ash said that last night. Hurt on the landing, it seems. Touchdown on that drive, and Carson Beck has thrown his first touchdown pass for the U. Capping a 70-yard, 8-play drive. Extra point up and good by Carter Davis. They took advantage of another inexperienced defender, Carson Hobbs, in coverage.
And just a great job by Toney, seeing his quarterback move off the spot. Look at how he flattens the route. Comes back to the ball, secures the catch, and scores it. And how about Carson Beck? Just a great job moving in the pocket. Slide to your left, eyes downfield. Throw a fadeaway jumper and drop it in the bucket to the talented true freshman. Tremendous poise there by Carson with the delivery.
The reaction for Carson Beck, such a frustrating season a year ago. Loves his new surroundings, comfortable with his teammates. And Carson Hobbs played very little last year. Sophomore from Cincinnati. Beat on the play. So the lead for Miami. They scored in the first quarter in every game last season. And it took them almost a minute in the second quarter to score for the first time this season. Carter Davis to kick off. Jadarian Price deepest. They lost the terrific returner Jaden Harrison to graduation. So Price getting the chance. He did bring one back for a touchdown against USC 2 years ago. He reached only the 15-yard line that time. Here's Taylor McGregor.
Sean, Carson Beck, and Malachi Toney, you could tell, had a handshake that was pre-planned. But Beck looked at him and said, I told you. And he did tell him, because when we were on a call with him this week, he lit up when we asked him about Malachi Toney. He said he has the chance to be one of the best I've ever played with.
Yeah, both he and Shannon Dawson prefaced their comments about Toney. They said, well, I don't want to overhype it, but he's one of the most talented guys who've ever been around. And you noted how he altered the route. That's one of the little things for a true freshman that Shannon Dawson talked about. You know, he just has a sense of how to play football beyond what you would expect.
Great feel.
So CJ Carr under duress out in the flat. Jeremiah Love run down by Popo Aguirre after a 3-yard gain. They had planned to get Love more involved in the passing game this year.
That's in an effort to get him in one-on-one situations where he's so good after contact. They have got to find more opportunities for space. So far, Miami, their defensive line is winning up front.
Only 3 carries so far for Love. Here's the 4th. He rushed for over 1,100 yards last year, the 21st 1,000-yard season in Notre Dame history. This Miami defense, coordinated by Corey Heatherman, 41 years old, last year in Minnesota, 1 year there as the defensive coordinator, trying to simplify things. They had too many busts in communication and busted assignments last year.
They're pretty simple on third down, though. If you watch Minnesota, you see a lot of man coverage, one-on-one lockdown coverage when you get to third and medium.
3-man rush. They still get near. Carr, and the throw is errant. Back on the field at cornerback for the Notre Dame defense. Beck 7 out of 12 for 87 yards. The handoff to Mark Fletcher. Staggers ahead for about 3. Carson Beck started last season off a 13-1 first year at Georgia as the starting quarterback. Preseason first team All-American, one of the leading contenders. I thought he was the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. Played nowhere near like that. A lot of reasons why, as you said before. We asked him, do you feel like you need to reestablish yourself? He said, no, I still believe, I know I'm one of the best players in college football.
He's playing really confident and poised tonight.
They bring pressure toward him. He gets it away, and it's incomplete. Off Joshua Moore with Christian Gray in coverage. Well, you said at the beginning, one of the differences over last year when Cam Moore would run around, usually very effectively, Carson Beck's going to get the ball out.
And has so far, really quickly. It's been very decisive. That throw a little off the mark. But with this challenge defense that you're seeing from Notre Dame, at some point he's going to take a shot downfield because those safeties getting a little bit closer with every snap to the line of scrimmage.
Miami started 0 for 3 on 3rd down. They've converted on their last 2. This is 3rd down and 8. Beck steps up in the pocket. There's a flag down. He lunges very close to the first down yardage. But it looked like there was a hold. This will be the first penalty assessed to either team if it is enforced.
Holding. Offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Samson Okunlola with a hold of Jared Dawson.
A tough deal for Okunlola as Carson Beck's trying to escape, just has that left hand grab too much jersey, and an easy call for the official.
Good call. A wry smile from Carson Beck.
Saying, don't sleep on my speed right there. He said he thought he
He's
was
a
out
good
the
athlete.
gate. He can run. He can run.
Yeah, he rushed for 5 touchdowns at Georgia. He's a very good athlete. He was originally recruited out of high school to be a baseball player. He was going to go to Florida and play baseball, but that was a partial scholarship. When he started getting full rides to go play football, he decided to do that, and he made a great choice. Gets it off very quickly. Malachi Toney targeted for the 6th time. They're going to call it an incomplete pass.
Finally, some answers for defensive coordinator Chris Ash. Miami's had a lot of success running the football, but in long yardage situations, with how this defensive backfield can defend, you cannot get into an obvious passing situation with the pass rush that the Irish has.
Here's Dylan Joyce again. The Australian, aren't they all? In his 3rd year, Notre Dame went after him. They blocked 6 kicks last year, including 3 punts. Face on with the punt well covered. Taken down immediately at the 32. 45.
As Mike Denbrock isn't really sure how defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman's going to attack him. So what do? Just get the ball into your quarterback's hands, take some pictures, and try to figure it out. He's got 4 completions that have only traveled 3 yards downfield or less. So mostly screens underneath. At some point, they'll have to stretch the field.
He's 6 for 9, all 6 completions on balls thrown within 3 of the line of scrimmage. He takes off running. He looks a little bit like the man who wore number 13 last year for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. There are the numbers we were talking about. He threw the 1 ball down the field early toward Love, and it was a little late and behind.
Correct, on the move too. And Mike Denbrock got to go back to that play sheet on 3rd and short. They got stopped earlier with the quarterback run.
1 out of 4 on 3rd down, the Irish. 3rd and 2. Jadarian Price looked like he got just enough for the 1st down.
One thing you can do for your young quarterback too is you can move the pocket, change the launch point. clean it up a little bit for him because that pass rush is relentless. So just try maybe a play action misdirection with the bootleg to kind of get him moving and allowing him to be athletic.
Price still the running back. Finds some holes, running to the right, has a first down. So the 44 of Miami with a 14-yard run. That's reminiscent of their ground game a year ago.
Very nice too, attacking just 3 guys on the right side of that Miami team. There's not enough guys. There's 3 blockers on that side, plus they get some pullers involved with Knapp rolling around. Just a great look there from Notre Dame's offense.
Pretty good number 2 running back, 746 yards last year, 6.2 per carry for Price. Timeout called by Miami. They have just 1 left. CJ Carr and the Irish offense about to run just their 4th play in Miami territory of this first half. Miami's run 12 in Notre Dame territory. Price again slipped down. Might be a slightly damp field. This is a Bermuda grass surface that drains really well, as you might expect with all the rain that falls here in South Florida.
You know Bermuda grass, but it's mostly on a pristine golf course. But he right there stepping on Eli Raridan, kind of twists that right ankle and unfortunately goes to the ground for the Irish.
Sticking with Price, Jeremiah Love still has just 4 carries. Mike Denbrock said it's going to be mostly Love this year. It wasn't a 50-50 split, but Price got plenty of carries. It'll be more on Love this season. A completion and a first down. Micah Gilbert got stood up after he picked up the first down. It was Xavier Lucas who made the tackle. Xavier Lucas, another transfer from Wisconsin.
And this is a staple play for Notre Dame. Just Z-spot, you got the corner, very simple route concept that CJ Carr has probably been running since he was in 7th grade. Great throw, good accurate pass, get him started.
And the first career catch for Micah Gilbert. They think he has a bright future. Redshirt freshman from Charlotte. Played in 3 games last year. Love and Price on the field together. Carr a play action pass, a wheel for Love. And he could not make a one-handed catch. With Mohamed Touré in coverage. Another first-year Cane in his 7th year of college football. Lost 2 full seasons at Rutgers due to ACL injuries, including last year.
He's a playmaker too. Was a real difference maker for Rutgers a couple years back. It's just unfortunate with his injury history. We haven't been able to see him. They say he's healthy and ready to take this linebacker group to the next level.
2nd and 10. They are in field goal range for the new place kicker, Noah Burnett. Room outside for Price. Jadarian Price down the sideline, banged across the boundary and out of bounds just short of the pylon. Jacoby Thomas saved the touchdown. It's a 30-yard run for Jadarian Price.
Just an excellent job by the left tackle because there's a little bit of movement off the side and Knapp sees it. He recognizes it. He comes off to get just enough of Keontae Scott to spring Jadarian Price to the outside. A great job by the left side of the offensive line.
1st and goal from the 3. Big run by the junior from Denison, Texas, who stays in the game. Last year was a lot of Riley Leonard with quarterback runs. Timeout called by CJ Carr. He was alert to the play clock.
Timeout. Notre Dame, their first. 30 seconds.
Still 2 timeouts left for Notre Dame, trying to tie the game with 6:38 to go in this opening half. It was the newcomer Zechariah Poyser who got beat around the corner and could not catch up after losing the angle on Jadarian Price.
It's been a really nice drive from Notre Dame. They put a lot on the quick passing game early in this game, kind of get their quarterback into a rhythm. But now it's the offensive line who's accepted the challenge and starting to open some holes up front.
You can see they're trying to get CJ Carr more comfortable. It looks like he is. That was a nice throw to Micah Gilbert.
Yeah.
The offense opening up a little bit.
I think he's playing fine. He's just been conservative with the plan so far, but really puts the onus on the offensive line to create some up front, especially here when the yards are tough inside the 5.
9th play of the drive. They've taken it 65 yards. Price remains the running back. CJ Carr out of the Riley Leonard playbook. Well, that's not his game. And he's wearing the number 13, not as an homage to Riley Leonard, who he communicates with still and likes very much. His dad, Jason, wore number 13 as a quarterback at Michigan. Riley Leonard had the school record with rushing touchdowns for a quarterback last year. They give it to Price. Lost the football, and CJ Carr's on it. Back at the 7. Wesley Besaint, the hard-hitting linebacker, popped it out.
Just didn't ever look like the ball was really secured up into the body with one hand. Goes out immediately, and here on 3rd and 6, got to be thinking move the pocket. Find Eli Raridan, the tight end, who's 6'7", long physical body.
Jeremiah Love back at running back. Carr forced back. He's back near the 30-yard line. Bought some time and throws a touchdown. Micah Gilbert. His first touchdown and the first TD pass thrown by the redshirt freshman CJ Carr, showing that poise the coaches have raved about.
What a play. Just continuing to survey. Get depth, get depth, get depth. Back the other way. No, this way. We'll try it. And how about this? Guys in the back end falling asleep at the wheel. It's amazing to see just how much those defensive backs lost coverage and resulted in an easy touchdown.
Ahmad Moulton did his best to try to track down Carr, but he lost the chase. Noah Burnett's first kick as a Notre Dame Fighting Irish player is good. 7-7, 5:21 to go in the half.
Run, I don't know why. They kind of fall asleep, and as a result, Gilbert is right there, 3 or 4 yards deep in the end zone, right against the sideline. So just a poor job by Miami's defensive backs, staying in coverage, and a great job by Notre Dame finding the open man.
Marcus Freeman said it was a close call in that competition with Kenny Minchie in the preseason. Felt comfortable with either one, but it was the calmness, the poise, and the ability he felt to lift the performances of others around him that Carr has, and ultimately led to the decision. Marty Brown is in now at running back, the transfer from North Dakota State. They had just shy of the 30. Molly.
Sean, I was standing next to Marcus Freeman during that touchdown play. He looked over at his coaches and winked and said, "I knew it." Marcus Freeman told us it was a gut decision to go with CJ Carr, and he's just proving him right with that poise on that play.
We asked CJ Carr, why Notre Dame? Your grandfather, legendary national championship winning coach at Michigan, right up the street from where CJ grew up. His dad played there. His maternal grandfather played there. Beck throws. Toney again, first down. CJ Carr said Michigan wasn't that enthusiastic in the recruitment early on, and Notre Dame was. He said as soon as he got on that campus, he just fell in love with it. He was the right place.
And I think he really wanted to forge his own identity. He didn't want to live in the shadow of his grandfathers and his dad. He wanted to forge his own identity at Notre Dame, and is so far off to a nice start in his first career start.
Carson Beck, 8 out of 15 for 94. That's 4 receptions for Toney. They faked a reverse to him and gave it to Brown. Third part of that running back by committee. Redshirt sophomore from Omaha. Had a prolific year last year as a redshirt freshman at North Dakota State. Ran for almost 1,200 yards and won the Jerry Rice Award as the top freshman in FCS football.
They're going to continue to try to emphasize the run game, and Notre Dame is very aware of that. And these safeties are starting to creep just ever so slightly towards the line of scrimmage. You look at the depth of these safeties, only about 15 yards away, but about 8 or 9 yards deep.
Carson Beck will use the time at the line. Now he steps up and throws. Good catch by CJ Daniels for a first down. We saw the example. Shannon Dawson said Carson Beck will use time at the line because he likes to send the running back out in the pass pattern, and he did there.
And this was very nicely done too. Throw just a little bit inside, but it allows you so much freedom if your back is out. Steps up, attacks the line of scrimmage, and throws a well-timed pass just a little bit too far inside to create yards after catch.
Daniels was the motion man. Brown got wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, managed to make it across midfield for a 3-yard pickup. Could take us to the 2-minute stoppage if Miami doesn't pick up the pace. Greg, you surprised that these top 10 matchups have been low scoring, all 3 of them this weekend?
No, I'm not, because at this point of the season, the defense is often ahead of the offense, and I think coaches are scared to death to take too much risk, especially in the event like tonight where there's different defensive coordinators on both sides of the ball. So they're a little more conservative early on before things might open up.
Malachi Toney, a very nice debut for Miami. And CJ Carr, his first career touchdown pass. Quarterbacks have had their moments. With Carson Beck and CJ Carr have thrown a touchdown pass. Malachi Toney, the freshman in his first game, has the Miami score. 2nd and 7. Marty Brown has the first down. Just 1 timeout left for Miami, but plenty of time right now. The clock stopped at 1:52.
Carson Beck just looks so comfortable right now getting through his progressions for Shannon Dawson. I mean, first guy's not there, second guy's not there, no problem outlet, and he's doing it so quickly. It's been hard for Notre Dame to keep up with the efficiency he's playing with.
Really looking like the Carson Beck that we saw at his best at Georgia. Brown again. Jordan Lyles had his ankle taped a couple of times now, so you wonder if he's available. That's 4 yards.
Now Miami probably needs to pick up the pace just a little bit. You get down to the final 80 seconds, that's when your antenna goes up, and then it really goes up under 40 seconds. So pick up the pace just a hair.
We think Davis will be the field goal kicker if it comes to that again, as long as 51. Keelan Marion swung down, but he has the first down. Christian Gray there for the Irish. Under a minute to go. The clock stops for a moment to move the chain. 7-yard gain.
Continuing to see a lot of man coverage from Notre Dame, and at some point, you know what time it is. If it's man, you got Malachi Toney. If he gets a one-on-one, you could take a shot downfield, but if I'm Notre Dame, I'd keep eyes on 10.
You've targeted him 7 times already. He has 4 catches for 59 in the TD. Beck surveyed the scene, took the check down to Brown, who goes airborne. Sent through the air by Jalen Stroman, but 7 more. There are a couple of players down behind the play, 1 for each team.
Clock's running, they got to roll. I mean,
it's Inez Cooper taking his time, and Beck's upset about it.
Timeout. Miami, the 3rd and final.
And as a result, they had to use their last timeout. I think it was Jared Dawson who was engaged with Inez Cooper behind the play, and they were having a conversation. Meanwhile, the clock's running.
big hit there.
The tackle by Stroman, known for his tackling at Virginia Tech.
It's kind of disastrous sequence there for Miami. They let a lot of time run off the clock because Notre Dame player was kind of right on top of the offensive lineman, and he couldn't get up. So as a result, they had to burn their last timeout, which could be pivotal if they have to settle for a field goal after being tackled in bounds.
So now do you have to throw? If you risk a run that doesn't get the yardage, the half might end.
I think you have to. I think under 15 seconds is when you're really in no man's land, because a hurricane field goal operation, no pun intended, is very, very difficult, especially after you had a bad snap earlier. So I think you have to throw it here, and you could take a couple shots, especially if you have a one-on-one up top.
Beck's 5 for his last 5 for 36 yards, 12 for 19 total. Under pressure, off his back foot, up for grabs, and caught! CJ Daniels, a tremendous one-handed catch. And they lost their top 6 receivers from last year. Daniels, one of several brought into the program. He's a transfer from LSU. And what a way to introduce yourself to the new team and fan base. They're going to review it. And again, the poise of Carson Beck. I wondered when the ball was in the air, Greg, if it was a good decision. But I guess you could say that was on the money.
I mean, that is an unbelievable catch. Now, he does bobble it a little bit through the ground, but does the ball ever touch the ground is the question. Goes up with one hand, pulls it in, but watch it now. Does he get it into his body? Does it ever touch the ground? From that angle, I don't see any ball meeting the grass.
CJ Daniels played all of last year at LSU after 3 at Liberty. He had 42 catches for the Tigers, but did not have a touchdown catch after he had 21 at Liberty. He has one in his first game as a Miami Hurricane. Although the replay review continues.
A great look off the progressive pylon cam there as they continue to try to look whether or not that ball touched the ground. But from the angles we've seen, I think this call will likely be upheld.
Do you like the decision by Becker? Did he get away with it because of the great catch? Because if that's not a one-handed snatch, it looks like it's going to be an INT.
After further review, the ruling on the field is upheld. Touchdown Miami.
And to answer your question, Sean, no. In my quarterback room, we're not teaching that play, but a tremendous catch. And that was a great pass rush from Boubacar Traore. And Beck now has twice thrown touchdowns under duress because of his ability to move away and buy a little time.
So here's Carter Davis. No problem with the last 2 snaps after the miscue on the first field goal try. Miami back on top with 12 to go, seconds in the half.
And this is a nice double move out of the bunch. You'll see just a little hesitation. Look inside, right around Leonard Moore. The safety's there to make the play, but CJ goes up and snags it. But the pass rush here on the left-hand side is pretty remarkable. He's the one in Boubacar Traore that forces Beck to retreat off of his spot. He beats the left tackle inside, spins inside, and look at the retreat. Just a little bit of time that Carson Beck was able to play, and that's now 2 touchdowns off a fadeaway jumper.
Look where Don Schuler was going. I think he was anticipating he was going to catch that ball and take off in the other direction. But snatched out of the air by Daniels, a 6th-year player from Lilburn, Georgia. 3 catches in his Miami debut.
And especially massive, too, knowing that Miami deferred to the second half, so they got a chance now to go 2 for 1, score at the end of half, and potentially pick up a big lead with the opening drive touchdown in the second.
Touchback off the foot of Carter Davis. Stay tuned for the Starbucks halftime report. Kevin Nagandi, Booger McFarland, and Dan Orlovsky standing by. We'll review the other game earlier today. South Carolina's win in the Beamer Bowl. Shane Beamer leading Virginia Tech, school where he grew up, on the sidelines with his legendary dad, Frank Beamer. He's also one of the all-time great men in the history of college football.
Few in the world better than Frank Beamer, and a good win for South Carolina to kind of live up to some of the preseason expectations they have.
CJ Carr takes a knee. He'll finish his first half as a college football starter, 8 out of 12 for 54 yards and the memorable touchdown. 2 touchdown passes for Carson Beck on 147 yards passing. Daniels this year. Keelan Marion, dangerous return man, back deep for Miami. He's not going to try it. It'll be Miami ball with a 7-point lead to start the second half. Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy.
For the most part, he made great decisions. He moved in the pocket. Marcus Freeman talked about trying to create more pressure, so we'll see here in the second half if they decide to blitz him a little more to make him uncomfortable.
Miami had only 2 plays in the first half that went for 20 yards or more, and they were the 2 touchdown passes. 28 to Malachi Toney, and the 20-yard acrobatic snatch by CJ Daniels. Whistles stopped the play.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I was just about to say, for an opening game, it was very well played, cleanly played. There's only 1 penalty in the first half. Now there have been 2, both against Miami.
Not great there to start the second half. You're all jacked up, all fired up, scored touchdown end of half, and just a little slow and lethargic getting out of the huddle there to start this opening third quarter.
There's only 1 turnover in the first half by Malachi Fields of Notre Dame. The lost fumble on his first touch as a Fighting Irish player. But the defense covered it up with help from a bad snap on a field goal try. Beck runs back across the original line of scrimmage, and here's a look at his first 30 minutes in a Canes uniform.
Very decisive, but I love how he moved in the pocket and how he kept his eyes downfield. Long yardage, 3rd and 10. Slides to his left, keeps his eyes downfield, and throws a perfect ball to Malachi Toney for the touchdown. And then another great rush by Boubacar Traore inside. He's got the double move working right. He buys just a little time by drifting backwards, and CJ Daniels makes an incredible catch.
2nd and 10. Mark Fletcher, a hard-earned 2 yards. Jared Dawson made the tackle. Now
obvious passing situation. Marcus Freeman talked in the first half about how do we make Carson Beck more uncomfortable? Well, you can do that by blitzing, and Carson is great with his protections and making sure he redirects where it needs to go. Let's see if Chris Ash decides to allow these guys up front to pin their ears back.
Well, that was the difference. We chatted with Carson Beck the other day, said at Georgia he was not allowed to do much at the line of scrimmage, maybe check out a one run to a different run, but he has much more flexibility here, and he's done it very well. He's on target for another first down. Elijah Lofton, the tight end, he was a backup last year and had 9 catches, has a grab here for 15 yards and a first down.
And look at the eyes. What does that tell you? Zone coverage. What does Carson Beck do a great job of? Diagnosing it and making a great throw. When the eyes are on the wide receivers, you know it's man, but when they're on the quarterback, you got zone. He throws a perfect ball to his tight end for the conversion.
Beck 7 for his last 7. Dating back to the end of the first half. 2 years ago, when he had the big year at Georgia, he completed more than 72% of his passes, the Bulldogs single season record. That dropped off by 8% last year. That's 8 in a row. Mark Fletcher swung out of bounds by Kingston Viliamu Asa, but it's 8 more for Miami.
Miami trying to take a shot downfield. Notre Dame does a great job of covering up those big plays, potential downfield. He checks it down. Now you got second and short, and your offensive coordinator has his entire playbook available to him.
And that's Shannon Dawson in his 3rd year here at Miami. He and Carson Beck hit it off immediately. Fletcher busts through a hole, first down inside the 40. 11 yards on the run for Mark Fletcher, who was their second leading rusher last year behind Damian Martinez.
And you have motion going back the other direction, which creates some misdirection. Pretty good job there by number 1, JoJo Trader, getting up inside, kind of acting as a fullback and delivering a good block on Schuler.
Here comes Fletcher again, powering close to another first down. 9 more on the run for the junior from Fort Lauderdale. A nice blend of run and pass here, dialed up by Shannon Dawson. He said he and Beck hit it off immediately. Carson Beck said he just appreciates Dawson's personality. Shannon is a pretty chill guy, and they've just meshed.
You can just tell Carson is playing so comfortable and is happy in this offense. I'd be looking to take a shot on second and short.
Fletcher the first down. Of course, when Carson Beck got here, he couldn't participate in spring practice. He was coming off the elbow surgery on his throwing elbow in late December. So he took the time to get in the meeting room, get to know his teammates. Couldn't throw until March. He said that really wasn't a problem.
Yeah, but developing those relationships, working on the chemistry without being able to throw was massive. So when he got to throw in the summer, just 300 balls a week, was on a pitch count, he had already developed such trust and rapport. He hosted a Super Bowl party, did an amazing job this spring, really making sure his teammates came first.
Marty Brown, the ball carrier. And Shannon Dawson said, you know, they did their homework on Carson Beck. There was a lot of stuff out there on social media last year. But he had a long conversation to Dawson with Todd Monken, the former offensive coordinator at Georgia, who's now with John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. And he said Monken went on for about an hour, all with positives. You know, he's a competitor. He's very smart. He takes coaching very well. He can make all the throws. You're going to like having him. And Dawson said everything Todd Monken said has turned out to be true. Quick pass to Joshua Moore on the 9th play of this drive, and Christian Gray was ready for it. There's also a flag down.
Hard to tell if that's a flag or an orange glove.
I think that's what it is. It looks like a flag at the 27-yard line.
Here, a big 3rd down opportunity for Notre Dame. Well, Miami's done a good job getting into field goal range. Carson Beck cannot take a sack here to make this field goal more complicated. The ball's got to come out like it had in the first half.
They are in field goal range. Plenty of time. Malachi Toney. Out of bounds at the 9. He was hoping to pick up a block downfield from Marty Brown. 16 yards, and the drive continues. They've held the ball now for more than 6 minutes.
And a great play call by Shannon Dawson. Notre Dame thinking they're going to run that mesh concept with 2 shallow crosses that will intersect in the middle. Instead, they show the shallow cross mesh and then boom, break it back out where Toney can find plenty of space.
His 5th catch. This one for 16 yards. He has 75 receiving yards total and a TD. 1st and goal from the 9. Shamar Brown, better known as Marty, struggled down to the 5. Outstanding drive.
Just picking up right where they left off. And one thing they didn't do very well down the stretch in the first half was run the ball with some efficiency. Notre Dame really opted to take away the run as the game went along, which opened up the pass. Now they've opted to take away some of the pass, and the run is coming to life.
All CJ Carr can do is watch. They've taken up almost half of the clock here in the 3rd quarter. Brown down to the goal line. They're trying to push him across. Fans think he has scored. The officials haven't raised their arms yet. Touchdown.
So hard to tell in the scrum whether or not that ball does cross the plane. The fact that it was called a touchdown on the field is massive. And big Francis Maui Noah and Nez Cooper pushing all the way through to find pay dirt. Just a physically imposing, challenge-making drive for the Miami Hurricanes.
So we got more than half the quarter. 7 minutes and 37 seconds. 75 yards in 12 plays, and Marty Brown, another newcomer from North Dakota State, where he's had 15 touchdowns as a freshman last year. Has his first for Miami. The replay booth taking a look at it. Bill Scott is the replay official. So that's the first rushing touchdown of this game if it stands, and we anticipate it will. And it has. Carter Davis makes it 21-7. And the onus on CJ Carr in the Irish offense in his first career start. This touchdown pass.
Yeah, just a great job of extending the play, buying time. Defense, the backfield falls asleep, and he throws a perfect touchdown. But that was really the last meaningful snap that CJ Carr has played in the 7-7 at the time when he delivered that throw. Now in a 14-point deficit, put some pressure on the young quarterback.
8 for 12. They started the game with 4 straight short passes. Meanwhile, the man many consider to be the best running back in the country, Jeremiah Love, has just 4 carries. And they faked it to him again, and the pass errant in the direction of Eli Reardon.
Well, Sean, quarterback CJ Carr with a lot of short passes in the first half. Marcus Freeman told me they'll let him open it up a bit, throw the ball downfield, emphasizing the priority, loosening things up for the run game. He emphasized we have to run the ball better. We have to get the ball into Jeremiah Love's hands. He is our best playmaker. We need a long, explosive run from him.
Preseason first-team All-American. They send him out of the pass pattern. That pass is batted down. David Blade Jr. knocked it down. They really cannot afford a quick 3-and-out here with as much as the defense has been on the field. The last 2 Miami touchdown drives took 22 plays. The only Notre Dame play in between was the kneel down at the end of the half. Almost 13 straight minutes with the ball for Miami. on their feet. They love the play of this revamped Miami defense. They tried to set up a middle tight end screen, and that was incomplete. Intended for Eli Raridan, the tight end.
Just a nightmare start for the Irish in the second half. To see their defense get physically pushed at the point of attack all the way down, giving up a couple third down conversions through the air, and then their offense going 3 and out with 2 very inaccurate passes. They got to settle down on the sideline.
4th punt from James Rendell. Drives Malachi Toney back. And he's out of bounds at the 30. Perhaps the best news of all tonight. Corey Heatherman's defense, if you're a Miami fan.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, receiving team number 11. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down. Timeout on the field.
We're back in Miami. The Hurricanes with the ball trying to score a touchdown for the 3rd straight drive. Here's the penalty.
Right there on the right side of the screen. The transfer from Louisiana Tech, David Blay, kind of hits the defender for Notre Dame. Bad call. I didn't think there was enough there to warrant a 15-yard penalty.
Let's bring in Matt Austin. Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, Sean, I do agree with Greg. I just don't think that rises to the level of a personal foul or unnecessary roughness. It was a little bit of a push. Looked like they were tied up before. If there's some stuff going on before that you want to tighten the game up a little bit, I understand it, but this game's been really clean.
So instead of starting from the 30, they begin at the 15. They stick with Marty Brown, who just scored the last touchdown. Breaks free from some tacklers, then gets slammed down on the far sideline by Donovan Heinisch. One of the new Notre Dame captains, as was his brother Kurt a few years ago when he was a D lineman for Notre Dame.
At some point, Notre Dame's going to have to find some answers along that defensive line. Marcus Freeman's group was worried about affecting the quarterback, and they've abandoned stopping the run. They have got to solidify up front.
Thick pass to CJ Daniels. He got stood up just short of the line to gain. 3-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down, less than a yard.
This is a big down for Chris Ash's defense. They've struggled so far in the second half at the point of attack. You know exactly what's coming right here. It's going to be a running back dive favoring the right side of the offensive line behind CC Maui Noah and Inez Cooper, the right tackle and right guard respectively.
Miami starting to dominate the time of possession with these 2 long touchdown drives, the last 2 possessions. 10 yards, 10 plays rather, in 12 plays. The last 2 Miami drives. Brown slips on 3rd down and about a foot. Lost yardage on the play, and Markel Bell, the left tackle, is slow to get up.
Timeout for an injury to an offensive player.
That was enormous for Notre Dame. Really did a great job on the right side of that defensive line. They knew where it was going. That ball's going to the right-hand side behind the All-Americans. They stop it immediately, and Brown tries to get back to the left, where he rolls up over the left leg of his left tackle. Just a huge stand for the Irish.
He slipped first, and then he rolled up onto the back of Bell. If they have a concern on the offensive line, it would be Markel Bell, the left tackle.
He's been pretty good. Has had his hands full a couple times with the edge rushers, but in the run game, that's where he's excellent.
So a big stop for Notre Dame with help on the slip, obviously. Dylan Joyce, a tumbling punt. It takes a bad bounce for Miami. It is down to Chapel Hill. Belichick, after 333 career wins in the NFL, is now a head coach in college at age 73. Jordan Faison on a critical possession now for Notre Dame. 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, down by 14. And everything going against them. That's a 5-yard pickup.
They absolutely need to get the ball to Jeremiah Love. Hand it to him off tackle. You had some success with that in the 2nd quarter. Get to that play and get him some touches.
It's all throws here in the 2nd half for CJ Carr. Reardon the catch. He has a 1st down. It's enough to make you wonder if there's something wrong with Jeremiah Love. He was banged up at the end of last year on a bad knee that limited his carries and his productivity. But all signs were he was completely healthy. And there's enough time you can still run the ball. They fake it to him. Reardon dropped the ball. Even on these short passes now, they're having trouble completing them.
Yeah, and so much of what Jeremiah Love's responsibility tonight has been as a decoy. And I get that, at least early in the game, but at some point, you got to feature your best player. Jadarian Price had some success there in the 2nd quarter. Now it's Love's turn to run some of those plays off tackle that gave Miami some fits.
6 second half plays, all of them passes for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love has 4 carries. It's CJ Carr carrying the ball effectively for a 1st down to the Miami 40. 13-yard pickup.
And a good job. You'll see man coverage, which means CJ Carr's got a lot of freedom to take off. He does, and finds some space in the open field.
He brings them quickly to the line. And now looks to the sideline for some guidance. Given a pocket, hand fighting, and what a catch! Malachi Fields beat O.J. Frederick in a one-on-one battle. A 27-yard gain.
And what a catch by Fields, just extending those fingertips, and he's a guy that has to get going. Had a fumble early, has been quiet since. You got to get him involved.
Ruling on the field of a completed pass is under further review.
We talk about how Marcus Freeman believes this is the best receiving group he's had in his 4 years as head coach. One of the big reasons why is Malachi Fields over from the University of Virginia. We're at 800 yards plus receiving each of the last 2 years. I think that's a catch.
Yeah, I think that's going to be upheld. That ball never moves an inch. Shows the strength of Fields on display, and part of the reason why he's now playing for the Irish, because of how much pain he inflicted on them last year. Had 4 catches for 81 yards and had some acrobatic plays like that scattered throughout his season.
He's a big target, 6'4", 222, from Charlottesville, Virginia. 55 catches for the Cavaliers last year, and 58 the year before that. One of the best receivers in the ACC. Yep.
After further review, the call on the field is upheld.
Yep, looked like a catch, and it is. So after a rough start, his first touch as a member of the Fighting Irish was a catch and then a fumble. This is more what they were expecting from Malachi Fields.
CJ Carr's got to love it as his family looks on.
Mom Tammy, brother Tommy. Tammy's right, the left on your screen. Tommy's a high school senior at Saline High School in Michigan, where CJ played. Tommy's already committed to be the quarterback in Miami of Ohio. They're at the 14 in dire need of a touchdown with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Down by 14. Love out of the witness protection program. Flag down. Love walked the sideline, got close to the end zone. But there's a flag thrown. Back at the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense. Number 9. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Huge first penalty of the night assessed to Notre Dame.
And you'll see it's actually the left tackle, Anthony Knapp, who's had his hands full tonight with the outstanding defensive end, Ruben Bain, just grabs that jersey a little bit too long as Love breaks to the outside.
I think you got the right guy. There's the hold. Raridan, the hold on Keontae Scott.
Definitely looked like
bad timing for their first flag of the night. They're back at the 24-yard line. 1st and 20. Carr just did get it off a little bit too far in front of Will Pauling, and now a flag after the play. Perhaps for a defensive holding penalty.
Pass interference. Defense number 7. Holding personal foul. Automatic. First down.
Zechariah Poyser, one of those transfers in the secondaries from Jacksonville State.
And he's locked on one-on-one as they try to break to the outside, and he just wraps him up. It's pretty close collision, but doesn't allow Pauling to get to the out and try to make a play.
Marcus Freeman hauling for the flag, and he got it from the nearest official on his sideline. So a key penalty against Eastside, and now it's 1st down and 10, under 2.5 to go in the third quarter. Miami 21-7. Jeremiah Love turned the corner and got 2. Ran into Ruben Bain Jr.
That's the run play that we've been clamoring for. That edge run, just get Miami going a little bit horizontally. They played it well there. Here in the red zone, when the field condenses, you want to look in the direction of guys with length. That guy in this case is Malachi Field. Just made a great play to get you down here. If you get a chance to take advantage in one-on-one, that's where I'm looking from CJ Carr.
Love up and over and down at the 8-yard line. Made a habit of leaping defenders last year. 3-yard pickup there. Here comes a critical 3rd down.
Down here, 3rd and medium. Could see quite a bit. I would move the pocket. If I'm Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, I would try to create a little bit of a rub. I'd burst someone out in the flat. I would roll CJ Carr to his right to simplify the read.
Officials have stopped the play for a moment. It looked like there's a problem with the chains on the far side of the field. 3rd down and 5. Notre Dame is 3 out of 7 on 3rd down. Adam Savoie still trying to figure it out.
Play was stopped to readjust the chains. The line to gain is the 3-yard line. 3rd down.
And the clock runs now. Love is the running back on the left hip of CJ Carr. Love, a lead blocker for CJ Carr. He got blasted short of the goal line, but he got the first down. Who said he's not a runner? That looked a lot like Riley Leonard. Same plays they ran with such great success in the red zone and in short yardage situations last year.
Yeah, it's been about quarterback run game even tonight. In the absence of Riley Leonard's athleticism, quarterback run's been their friend when they've gotten inside the 5.
Carr has now rushed 5 times for 23 yards with a long of 13. Jeremiah Love lowers his head. Did not get to the goal line. Stacked up just short of it. And now a flag thrown. Did they drive him back for too long? Couple of flags thrown at the end of that play. Love got just shy of the goal line. They drove him all the way back near the 10-yard line.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 24 continuing to participate in that helmet. Let's see us after this is the goal of an automatic first down.
Dylan Day lost his helmet. And another break for Notre Dame. It stopped the clock as it looked like the quarter might expire.
That's a tough.
There's the helmet coming off Dylan Day. Now the clock.
Set the game clock to 26 seconds, the play clock to 25 seconds, and start both clocks on my signal.
Issues with the chains, issues with the clock. Marcus Freeman's team helped by a couple of defensive penalties here against Miami. First and goal from inside the 1. Love stopped short of the goal line on what's going to be the last play of the quarter. Jacoby Thomas, known for being a good run defender. He's a secondary of Notre Dame trying to get within a touchdown. Second and goal at the 1. Aeneas Williams is the running back. He collides with Carr and they still score a touchdown. Jordan Faison. Tammy Carr watches her son throw his second touchdown pass of his college career, both tonight in his first career start. And what a drive that they absolutely had to have. There's Noah Burnett, a transfer from North Carolina. They try to make it a 7-point game with almost the entire fourth quarter still to play.
This is a good call by Mike Denbrock. Miami had really been selling out by pinching and crashing those edge defenders. So what do? They try to move the quarterback. We were asking for the quarterback moving to his right. They do so with a little loop pass. Not great execution in the backfield as far as the relationship between the running back and the quarterback. They collide, but it doesn't matter. Carr delivers a strike to make this thing very interesting in the fourth quarter.
Still scoring. Tammy Carr and son Tommy. She's an incredible woman. They lost the Carr family. CJ's younger brother Chad when he was 5 years old. CJ was 10 to pediatric brain cancer. The Carr family has started the Chad Tough Foundation to help in the fight against pediatric brain cancer, and they've raised millions of dollars. They had a gala in the Ann Arbor area in May that raised $1.8 million. And there's a touchback by Diametti. You know, when we talked to CJ Carr, all the build up to his first college start, the quarterback at Notre Dame, the pressure, he said, when you've been through what our family's been through, this isn't pressure. And he has the tattoo Chad with the cross on his right wrist.
Everyone in the family, uncles and aunts, all with a very similar tattoo, just continuing to honor Chad's memory and doing an amazing job in raising tons of money to bring awareness to pediatric brain cancer.
And with Tammy the driving force. Talked to Mike Tirico, who emceed that gala. He said she's an amazing woman and trying so hard to help other families not go through what the Carrs went through. Mark Fletcher did well to hang on to the ball. They were trying to pull away the ball from him. Jason Onye and Jalen Stroman made the tackle, but it's 6 yards on first down for the Hurricanes.
And the right side of this offensive line just continuing to tee off. And Notre Dame was a little concerned about fatigue in this hot, humid weather of South Florida. Will it set in here as the game goes along?
Beck 11 for his last 11. Flag thrown as he lofts one. Toney trying to run under it. Miami fans and sideline want to call on the end of that play against Devontae Smith. They don't get the flag in the secondary. There is a flag thrown in the offensive line pit.
Holding. Offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Inez Cooper called for the hold. So the penalty starting to pile up after there was one penalty total in the first half.
Watching Inez Cooper as he engages and with that right arm kind of grabs. Looks like Onye, but it almost looked like Onye got tripped up a little bit in the backfield. And was there a call that needed to be made in the secondary?
Yes.
Didn't look like a crazy amount late, but early it did look like there was a bit of a hold.
It looked like a lot late to me too. He spun him around as the ball was coming there. Well, Miami fans starting to get a little agitated. All of a sudden they've been called for 6 penalties. Notre Dame 1. The dump off to Malachi Toney, and he's down at the 28. But Notre Dame, after scoring on its last possession, with a big third down on defense. 3rd down and 7.
Shannon Dawson has gone to the well multiple times looking in the direction of Malachi Toney on a little bit of an in route misdirection all the way back out. That's to beat man coverage. Will they try to go back to the well again and hit that return route for the young talented freshman?
Receivers spread the field as Carson Beck goes out of the gun. 19 out of 26 for 196 and 2 touchdowns. And a timeout called by Miami just prior to the snap.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Miami, their first. Timeout on the field.
With 13:27 to go, a 1-score game in the renewal of this great college football rivalry. It's Jeter defending a huge 3rd down and 7. Miami up by a touchdown with 13.5 to go. Carson Beck was given a pocket, but he took too long, and they take him down. Boubacar Traore, who's been a big factor tonight for the Notre Dame defense. The first sack of the game for either team.
Timeout for an injury to a defensive player.
And that's really demoralizing too, because this is just a 3-man rush. 3-man rush working really against 5 offensive linemen, and to get a sack is really, really hard to stomach when you're a quarterback. That's when your protection should be at its best. And yet still Boubacar Traore able to drag down Carson Beck for a big stop.
Well, he had some time, and he just ran out of time. They think Traore's going to be a star. Dylan Joyce the punt. Fair catch made. Jordan Faison. 44-yard punt. Well, Notre Dame was on the ropes, down 21-7, doing very little on offense prior to their last drive, and then CJ Carr took him down the field.
In the process, they really woke up Malachi Fields, who is going to potentially be a matchup nightmare down the stretch. He's now starting to gain some confidence, so keep an eye on Zero throughout this drive, who had a big play on the last possession.
Interesting too, no catches for Jaden Greathouse. who was the star in their last 2 games of last season, 100 yards receiving plus on 13 catches total. Against Penn State and Ohio State, Jeremiah Love broke free from a tackle, got 8. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Greg mentioned Notre Dame withstanding this heat. Their offensive line is getting gassed. Left tackle Anthony Knapp had an ice pack on his neck, a cold towel on his head. He was eating a popsicle, doing everything he can to cool off. And their O-line coach, Joe Rudolph, imploring his group to keep their energy up, continuing to emphasize the importance of establishing the run to win this game. But they're struggling right now on the sidelines.
Second and 2. The fake to Love. They throw it out wide. Batted around and intercepted. Ruben Bain Jr., the defensive end, wound up with it. Notre Dame has run that play so many times, and Miami was all over it that time. Damari Brown knocked it up in the air, and Bain has the interception and a 15-yard return.
When you chase the ball, good things happen, and that's exactly what happened for Ruben Bain. Gets tipped up in the air a couple times into the awaiting arms of the All-American defensive end. It's great hustle to get out there and try to make a play, as you can see it from the progressive pylon cam.
Yeah, and couple of big plays tonight. And that is the second turnover, both committed by Notre Dame.
Let's see if Miami goes for the jugular here and tries to take a shot on sudden change.
At the very least, they're in field goal range to make it a 2-score game again. An enormous turnover. Fletcher got popped by Adon Schuler, stayed on his feet, got finished off by Drake Bowen.
Not accustomed to seeing Notre Dame make mistakes. They last year in their playoff run were so outstanding. You look at the turnovers forced and how well they protected the ball, and now tonight off to a bad start at the CJ Carr era with turnovers.
-2 plus 18 last year. They led the country in takeaways on defense last year with 33. Haven't had one tonight. Fletcher again. Stopped a couple of yards short of the first down. Here's another big third down, and the clock will go under 11 minutes to go.
This, I think, for Miami is so big. Carson Beck has been great tonight, making decisions, finding open space, and the guy that's been the most effective on third down has been Malachi Toney. You have to find an opportunity to create some space for their young speedster against what might be man coverage from Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman.
Four out of 10 on third down. Last 2 possessions, 3 and outs for Miami after those impressive touchdown runs. They keep it on the ground, not wanting to risk a turnover in field goal range. Some of the crowd doesn't like that call. Kick it, says Mario Cristobal. Now they have an unsettled kicking situation. They brought in 2 transfers. Bert Auburn, for a long time, had a terrific career in Texas. He faltered last year. Carter Davis, who won the job in training camp, despite 4 for 11 at FAU. First field goal try of the night was an errant snap. All the extra points have been fine. This is for 38 for Davis. And good. Well, his first field goal as a Miami Hurricane. He's from right down the street in Fort Lauderdale. The defense from the U. Here's Carter Davis, who just kicked the field goal. Blasts the touchback over the head of Jadarian Price. So I was going to ask you, does this take, now being down by 2 scores with under 10 minutes to go, does it take Jeremiah Love out of the game? But he really hasn't been much of a factor in the game.
No, he hasn't, but he's still a guy that you can incorporate via the pass game. You don't have to abandon the run right now by any stretch. You got to get some points, you got to get some drives, but we're not yet at a point where you got to get into a 2-minute operation. So he could still very much be a factor, but the urgency needs to lift up just a little bit with how Miami's controlled the line of scrimmage with their offensive line running the football.
Love 9 carries for 27 yards. CJ Carr 12 for 21 passing, but just 92 yards. And the 2 touchdowns. Just threw the interception on that ricochet. Checks it down to Love, who takes off up the sideline. He took a hard hit as he went out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Malik Bryant hit him up high. They're going to mark him out back at the 30 for a gain of 5. What a debut for Corey Heatherman. Now to Fitchburg State in Massachusetts, where he was a prolific quarterback back in his playing days. In the flat, Love, run after the catch, picks up the first down by 2. And the clock goes under 9 minutes to go.
And they might have found something there with Love in the passing attack. Now that's 2 consecutive completions, 1 on check down, 1 on designed route. Now he's split out wide at wide receiver. Can still look in his direction.
Eli Raridan, a 9-yard gain. I think the encouraging thing for that Miami defense is you don't see the communication issues and the bus that really derailed their season at the end of last year.
And it feels like the tackling has been significantly improved in the back end as well.
Jacoby Thomas is the injured player. We'll take a timeout. 8:27 to go. Miami leading Notre Dame by 10. Well, this defensive performance tonight for Miami has to be encouraging for the Hurricanes and their fans. They were 9-0 last year, and then the defense came apart. 1-3 to finish the season, gave up 42 in the regular season finale at Syracuse after they blew a 21-0 lead. They had won that game, they would have played for the ACC title, something they still have not won in 21 years in the league, and they probably would have been in the CFP, almost certainly. The defense much better tonight, as we say that wide open Malachi Fields, and swung out of bounds near the 35-yard line by Xavier Lucas.
So far these last couple plays, this Miami defense has played very passive, playing very conservatively, very soft coverage, allowing the underneaths. But at some point they need to get up and challenge these wide receivers and continue to disrupt the rhythm like they did early in the game.
20-yard gain. They're at the 34 with under 8 minutes to go. CJ Carr down by 10. He's thrown for 133 now in his starting debut. Pulls it down. And he takes a heavy hit from Mohamed Touré and did well to hang on to the ball.
Massive collision by Touré. Just puts that right shoulder right into the side of CJ Carr, right in the rib section. Man, that is big collision by Touré.
They call him Mo the Menace, and that was a menacing blow. One of the things Mario Cristobal said he brings coming over from Rutgers is physicality and a good tackler, and he showed both there. Jeremiah Love, the running back, gets the call on 2nd and 3 and has the first down to the 21-yard line. Akeem Mesidor made the stop, a pickup of 6 for Love.
As the field starts to condense, you can anticipate that coverage from Miami getting much, much tighter. There's no reason to defend anything over the top. It can't get behind you on just 30 yards. So it's going to be important for Notre Dame to try to run the football in this part of the field.
We just did get David Blay on. Mario Cristobal ran down as if he was going to call a timeout, then realized they would be able to substitute without too many men on the field. Carr, look out. Throws it nowhere. Ahmad Moten Sr. was coming after him. Crowd wants a grounding call, and the officials are talking about it. And here comes the flag. It was Moten from whom he ran away on that touchdown in the first half.
Offense number 13. Ball be placed in the spot of foul. Loss of down. Second down.
That time Moten able to cause the penalty with his penetration.
Right around the right guard, Lambert forces Carr out to his left, and he's trying to just get rid of it, but it has to go beyond the line of scrimmage or in the direction of an intended target. It was neither, and a good call by the official to throw the intentional grounding.
Loss of 11, under 6.5 to go. Carr given more time this time. Flag down. He threw it over the head of Jaden Greathouse. Targeted just for the third time tonight. Does not have a catch. They thought he'd carry the momentum at the end of last season into this year. One penalty assessed in the first half. It was against Miami, and now it's become a flag fest.
Like it was someone up front, Notre Dame, and it kind of pulled himself back. It looked like it was the left guard, Billy Schrouth.
After discussion, there is no foul for offensive holding. Result of the play is third down.
They are in field goal range. If it's still 3rd and a mile, you would think on 4th down they would try to kick the field goal, get it back to a one-score game.
Big teachable moment here for a young quarterback, though. Absolutely have to get rid of the football. You cannot take a sack, but I would anticipate from Miami just a 3-man rush to try to play defend defense.
Love the running back, Eli Raridan, the motion man, and he resets. Pressure immediately. It's a screen. Good call. Jeremiah Love up and over and down at the 20. Still about 10 yards short of the first down. But he is going to make it a more manageable field goal for Noah Burnett in his first attempt for Notre Dame. After a solid career at North Carolina, where he made 49 out of 62 field goals, including 19 out of 22 years ago when he was all ACC. And this is a 39-yarder. From the right hash mark, Tyler Buckner is the holder, returning holder for the Irish. And that is right down the middle. And it's a one-score
winning team last year. To go out and play the way they played defensively was remarkable. The big question I have with the top 10, though, is how far does Texas fall? How far does Clemson fall, and where does Alabama fall to? Because there's not been a ton of great wins, with the exception of the aforementioned victors, but be curious to see how they shake it up this year.
Well, regardless of what happens here tonight, it'll be the 6th time in the AP poll era that 4 top 10 teams have lost their season opener, and the first since 1989. Nice return by Keelan Marion.
Carson Beck looks like the 2023 version of himself tonight. Has been very decisive. Knows exactly what Notre Dame is trying to do defensively. Knows he has man. He's got his best man route runner and Malachi Toney on a double move inside out return. Does it again right there. Accurate throw. Gets it out of his hands quickly. And he's done a great job, too, of buying time. The pressure hasn't gotten home often, but when it has, he's had an answer for it. He slides to his left, buys a little time, floats it right over the top for Toney, who's awaiting for the touchdown. And then a little bit later in the game, he throws a little bit of a prayer up and over the top where CJ Daniels reels it in. He looks fantastic in his first game for the Canes.
19 for 26 for 196, 2 touchdowns. Hasn't thrown an interception. Mark Fletcher, the ball carrier, for a pickup of 2. 12 in a row after the 50% start through the first 14 throws as a Cane.
He's been very patient too. He hasn't tried to force anything downfield for the most part in the second half. He's just taken what the defense has given him, and it's resulted in a very efficient night for Carson Beck.
His throw is off target. Crowd thought Toney got hit late after the play. Luke Talich was there. 3rd down and 8. That completion streak ends, and a big play call here for Shannon Dawson. A 3 and out here breathes even more life into the Fighting Irish.
You would anticipate Miami going back to what they did very early in the game. Utilize a bunch formation where receivers are close together. You kind of have that here at the bottom of the screen. They'll get some extra protection from the overhangs, and can they create some separation down at the bottom?
They brought Drake Bowen up the middle. Beck was wrapped up, got it off, pushing and shoving. And no flag. Leonard Moore and Malachi Toney collided. It looks like they each gave each other a shove as the ball was arriving, and no argument from Mario Cristobal. So another 3 and out for Miami.
And pretty good rush this time around the right-hand side. And Carson Beck does a pretty good job of stepping up and avoiding the tackler. Kind of throws up a prayer, and Toney almost runs out underneath it. They clearly have made the adjustment, though. They say Toney is not going to beat us on 3rd down anymore. We're going to put the best cover guy in the country on him. And Leonard Moore had the answers, but he was asking for OPI, a DPI, you name it.
The defense rising up. That's 4 straight possessions for Miami without a 1st down. They didn't go 3 straight possessions without a 1st down last year when they led the nation in offense. 42-yard punt by Dylan Joyce, and Notre Dame with the ball at its own 25-yard line with a chance to go 75 yards and tie it. All 3 timeouts with 4:35 to go.
And this is where CJ Carr's maturity will come to the forefront. The coaches praised his competitive spirit, but they also said he had a very calm demeanor for a young guy. And now with the chance to go down and tie it, that calm can be on display.
He has an excellent offensive coordinator in Mike Denbrock. And a steady hand. Love is the running back. He goes out in the pass pattern. He was open. Carr didn't throw it to him. Wide open is Raritan behind the defense and run down inside the 15-yard line. All of a sudden, it's shades of last year for the Miami defense. A total bust and a 64-yard gain.
And this is just a huge mistake from Mo Toure. He's trying to kind of hit and collision Raritan, but he loses him. And this is the first real bust we've seen from Miami's defense all night. It results in a big play.
And what a time to have it happen. Raritan, who had trouble catching the ball earlier, was wide open and caught it. Carr weaves down to the 7-yard line. Popo Aguirre there to make the stop. He has taken some hits tonight, CJ Carr.
He has, and kind of just lowering his head, not realizing that defender was coming inside out.
You hate to see somebody lower their head like that, too. You can really get hurt.
It was painful, no doubt about it. He'll feel that one tomorrow.
2nd and goal, under 3.5 to go. Carr, designed quarterback draw! Touchdown! Is that still Riley Leonard wearing the number 13? No, it's Tammy Carr's son. They said he was poised, he was a gamer, the situations wouldn't be too big for him, and all of that has proven to be true. What a debut for CJ Carr. Now they need the extra point to tie it. And Burnett delivers. Miami offense has gone silent, and the Notre Dame offense has come to life.
Well, running the football is a game of numbers. Well, you have 7 guys in formation for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. There's only 5 Miami Hurricanes in there. So you know you have a very favorable look to try to run the quarterback. They do so with the quarterback draw. It's a nice block by Lambert, the right guard, and a nice cut by Carr, breaking right behind him and finding pay dirt for the game-tying score.
They're so solid all night long in that regard. Diametti kicks another touchback. 3:21 to go. They have gotten a little conservative with the play calling with the lead. Now they have to find a way to ratchet it back up.
Yes, and they've done a great job defensively, has Notre Dame, adjusting and moving their personnel. The biggest weapon that Miami's had so far tonight is Malachi Toney. They've taken their best cover guy, and he's now following him around the field. So will that continue in what might be the game-defining drive?
Chris Ash's defense has risen up when they've needed to. No first downs the last 4 possessions for Miami. They did kick a field goal off the interception by Bain that gave them the short field. Beck a short throw. And breaking a couple of tackles with CJ Daniels to get 9 on first down.
As a quarterback, you know this situation inside and out. You have 2 timeouts at your disposal. You save 1 for the kicker. You need to continue to be methodical. Don't take a negative play.
Quarterback with a high IQ. First down run by Marty Brown. Carson Beck benefited from being coached by Todd Monken at the University of Georgia, and Mike Bobo, well schooled in these situations, and both of those coaches and the coaches here just rave about his high football IQ.
Yeah, it's a great understanding of defense, and so far these first couple plays of this drive, we've seen zone defense implemented by Notre Dame.
Under 2.5 to go. Back deep ball. They tackle the receiver, and there's a flag thrown on Christian Gray. On Keelan Marion. And so often in critical situations, Christian Gray is involved.
15-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
Good and bad. Had the big interception against USC last year. Another here against Penn State.
And he's beat right there, and the ball looked like it was well thrown. If Christian Gray doesn't go down to the ground and try to tackle Marion, that might be out the gate. So it's really a bad penalty. Sure, they're all bad, but not the worst penalty because you might have saved the touchdown.
He did get asked a lot of questions about when Jeremiah Smith got behind him for a huge play late in the national championship game. When you have Leonard Moore on the other side and Benjamin Morrison last year, they're going to come in your direction. And the coaches appreciate Christian Gray. Yeah, the interception of Drew Aller in the final 35 seconds last year to set up that game-winning field goal. They're getting closer to field goal range of the Canes. Back, batted down by Christian Gray. Intended for Joshua Moore. Exactly what we're talking about. When he wobbles, he usually responds.
Excellent coverage, and this crowd wanted a penalty with that right arm draped behind the back of the intended receiver, but man, that's really sticky and be hard to make that call with it being so bang bang with tight coverage.
On 2nd and 10. Marty Brown stood up. Good tackle by Tay Johnson, a freshman who's in there at crunch time out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're at the 2-minute stoppage.
This is a 2-minute timeout.
They're not yet in field goal range, but they're very close. A big 3rd down and 2 in a tie game when we come back. Plenty to smile about. Looked like Miami might pull away. They led 21-7 and were dominating. But the offense has been stagnant. Now they're at the 39-yard line of Notre Dame with 2 minutes to go on a 3rd down and 2.
You assume a run right behind the right side of the offensive line on 3rd and short.
Marty Brown. That is going to be close. The play stays alive, and he's going to get the 1st down with the extra push.
Great second effort there by Marty Brown with some help from Francis Maui Noah, the best right tackle in college football, number 61. Kind of stopped up and watched Maui Noah come in and start to push that pile, and look how it moves. Just great determination there from Miami.
Maui Noah 6'6", 315, preseason All-American. They are in field goal range now for either of the 2 kickers. And they're going to make it a shorter try if it comes down to that on that run. Marty Brown down to the 31. Carter Davis won the kicking battle with fellow transfer Bert Auburn in the preseason. His long is 51. That was last year for FAU against Wagner. Little different circumstances tonight on national TV against Notre Dame.
They're already right now, like you referenced, inside of his career long. The ball sitting at the 31-yard line, so around 48 right now. I wouldn't anticipate anything crazy, and Notre Dame will start to use those timeouts to preserve a little clock. I think they'll probably just run it, just continue to try to pound away and lean on that right side of the offensive line.
Not a lot of experience in these situations. Last year was 2 for 7 in field goals, but both of them were from 50 plus. Notre Dame has continued to come up with a big stop when they needed it. They covered up the interception thrown by Carr, and they stopped Marty Brown for no gain. Will Notre Dame use its 2nd timeout? Yes, Marcus Freeman will.
Notre Dame, their 2nd, 30 seconds.
Miami scored late in the 1st half to take the lead. They took the opening drive of the 2nd half, used up more than half of the 3rd quarter clock, and scored a touchdown. But Notre Dame has battled back, led by CJ Carr. They've outscored Miami 17-3 here in the 4th quarter. Early in the game, after the first Notre Dame turnover, a fumble lost by Malachi Fields, Miami fumbled the snap on their first field goal attempt of the year. Notre Dame's turned it over twice, but Miami got just those 3 points on the 2nd interception, or the 2nd turnover. The first interception, the only interception thrown by Carr. Third down and 4. Will they try to get another 1st down? They're again very conservative, and they're going to put it on the foot of Davis. And Marcus Freeman will use his last timeout.
Timeout. Notre Dame, their 3rd and final. 30 seconds.
And now it's on Carter Davis. Maybe thrust into a more dramatic spotlight right out of the gate in his first game in Miami than he might have anticipated, but this is why you're a kicker. You want to have this opportunity and deliver.
It's what you dream of. I mean, every single kid, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, that game-winning shot that you're going to hit on the court, that home run you hit with bases loaded in a full count, you dream about. This is that opportunity now, this young man.
3 years at FAU, he was essentially their kickoff specialist. He mentioned attempted only 11 field goals over those 3 years and made 4. But this is from 47 yards to put them back on top. They have not trailed tonight. What a kick! Good! From 47. Fort Lauderdale native, spent his whole career right down the street, and you couldn't hit that one any better than he hit that one.
That thing might have been good from 65. He hit that with such adrenaline. Way up top on the upright. Just a tremendous strike. Showcasing some poise here in another edition of a tremendous rivalry game.
It was a competition in training camp between Davis and Bert Auburn with the long resume at Texas. Davis won the job, and he has rewarded Mario Cristobal's faith in him. Wasn't his fault they didn't get the first field goal off on the bad snap. But time for Notre Dame. They had some drama here the last time they played in this facility in their last win last year in the semifinal, the college football playoff in the Orange Bowl. They won the game on a Mitch Jeter field goal. But they're going to have a lot of work to do to give it to Noah Burnett, wearing the same number 98 that Jeter wore last year. He'll start at the 25 with no timeouts.
The big thing for CJ Carr here on the most pivotal drive of his young career. He's got to get the drive started. You know you have no timeouts. You know your kicker, they feel good about him inside of 50, so you got to get to around the 33-yard line. Get the drive started. Can't take a sack and favor the sideline. The sideline is your friend. You can anticipate Miami playing a little soft until they get to about midfield.
Noah Burnett's long during his career at North Carolina was 52. That was the opening game last year at Minnesota when he made a late game-winning 52-yarder to win it, his fourth field goal of the night. Off the hands of Raridan, who had the big 65-yard play last time, but he's also had a couple clang off his hands. And that was very nearly interception off the ricochet.
Yeah, ball just a little high from CJ Carr, even for the big intended target of Raridan, but one he should probably reel in.
.59 seconds to go. Carr under duress, middle screen. Raridan hangs on. Raridan, good run after the catch. They'll get the stoppage for the first down to the 37 after a 12-yard pickup.
That's a good call to kind of take some of the pressure off the offensive line. Keep an eye on number 4, Ruben Bain. He's had a whale of a game harassing CJ Carr and even having an interception. So keep an eye on him up top.
Carr under pressure, throws it as he was being sacked. Akeem Messidor was there for Miami. They're going to rule that an incomplete pass, and Carr is very fortunate that's the case. The officials are talking about it.
And if you watch Bain, I mean, he gives a great right tackle, turns him around. Messidor gets there first, but both ends collide on Carr, who very fortunately is able to somehow get rid of it as you see him push it forward.
He did. He threw the ball before he was down on the ground, it seemed. Let's bring in Matt Austin. What do you think, Matt, as the officials are still talking about this?
Well, I think it's definitely a pass, but is there a receiver in the area? He's definitely in the pocket, so it doesn't matter where the ball lands. If there's nobody near it, that's grounding.
And they have just thrown the flag.
Really nobody over the middle of the field as that pocket collapses around him. Love is out to the flat, and there's nobody. Even if it gets beyond the line of scrimmage, it doesn't make a difference. So a good call by the official. And now you've given this Miami defense a little extra time to recharge and see if those ends can end this game for the Canes and cap what would be a remarkable win for Mario Cristobal.
Clock is running. 2nd and 17. He's going down again. Akeem Messidor. Ruben Bain there as well. These terrific defensive ends have taken over on the last couple of plays, and time expires. They're going to give Notre Dame the play, or are they? Now the official on the far sideline is stopping the play, and the game is over.